Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Uncensored Critic podcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. It means the world to me. Thank you very, very much. And today we welcome on another talented actor and producer and director through these doors. And she goes by the name of Sarah Lawrie. And let's take a moment to introduce Sarah and her work. She's an Off-West End nominated actress and award-winning director. She holds a BA in social and political science from Trinity Hall and from Cambridge. As an actress, she has worked extensively in theatre, including roles at the Citizens Theatre, the Chichester Festival, Southwark Playhouse and Salisbury Playhouse. She's been producing theatre since 2013 and sub-projects to her name include Good Boy, Timeless and in Defiance of Gravity at the Edinburgh Fringe in 2024, 1979 at the Finborough Theatre, Stitches at the Hope, and a web series, Lear Alone, which won Best Series at the Off-West End OnComm Awards in 2022. Other works include Leaves at the Jermyn Street Theatre, Scrounger at the Finborough, which won Best New Play at the Off-West End Awards in 2021, and the web series Late Night Staring at the High Res Pixels, winner at London Pub Theatre Standing Ovation Award for Best Theatre Online. And look out for her brand new show, Elon Musk, Lost in Space, directed by Olivier-nominated John Nicholson, which will play at both the Camden and Edinburgh Fringe in August of this year. So that's just a small sample of Sarah's work. But in the meantime, hello, Sarah.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. That was a lovely introduction. Just a couple of minor corrections.
Minor corrections. Oh, yeah. What did I get wrong? Sorry.
I haven't won any awards as a director, only as a producer.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought I said nominated actress, didn't I? Okay.
Yeah, no, award-winning producer and award-nominated actress. But hopefully,
sorry. I
the
did.
latter will hopefully change soon.
Yes, well, we're manifesting that now, Sarah. We'll get that. Yeah. Get that into your life now. So we start at the beginning. So Sarah, in your case, where did it all come from? The love of acting and producing, directing, the arts. Where did it all start for you?
It's just definitely a vocation, I think. It's not a rational life choice, so it has to be a vocation, surely. Yeah, definitely. For as long as I can remember, got sort of diary entries from when I was about 5 years old, saying I want to be an actress when I grow up. So. Living the dream. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm just kind of hardwired to go down that path, obviously with a few little deviations along the way. Certainly my love of social sciences, a very political person, led me into that sort of field, academically speaking, but like vocationally, I've always been very driven by acting and more specifically theatre. I'm very much a theatre animal. You will notice from my CV, I have like practically no screen credits, but my passions now are theatre making, acting, and recently radio and audio. So I've directed, produced, and performed a lot for radio. So that's another string to my bow.
Exactly, yeah. So what is it about theatre that's so inspiring for you? What excites you about it?
I like live performance. I like the faster turnaround of theatre. Pre-production and post-production in the screen industry is a long old process. You're talking years rather than weeks or months, whereas theatre, certainly at an Off-West End level, is a much faster turnaround. It's a quicker return on your sort of investment of time and money and labour. And I just love I can never remember the difference between ethereal and ephemeral. The one that is fleeting, ethereal.
Yeah, and ephemeral is when it's just in the moment, like it's just there in that moment, and then it's gone. Yeah,
yeah, and that's what theatre is. It's like a shared experience, and every night is different. Like I've done long jobs, 7 months, 9 months on the same show, and quite often people ask, doesn't it get boring? And I would say the short answer for me is absolutely not, because every audience is different, and certainly if you're doing a long running tour, every theatre is different, every space is different, and that's what sort of thrills me. I like curtain calls, I like applause.
Like the applause at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you don't get that immortalization that you would get in screen, but you get it a little bit on the radio.
I suppose
Having said that, I think if I did do television and film, I'd probably be one of those people who never watch myself back, because
oh yeah, I'm sure you're not alone in that. You're not
yeah.
alone. A lot of people don't like it, myself included. But hey, it's something we get used to. But no, that's interesting about. So I want to talk to you about Cambridge as well. You mentioned there you have a love of social sciences and stuff. Of course, you studied at Cambridge, very very prestigious university. So how were your years at Cambridge?
I wouldn't say they were the best years of my life. I say this because I teach acting as well, and I do say this to my students, like, don't feel that pressure to have the best years of your life at that age, at that time. It doesn't have to be that. I think I was had a bit of a culture shock going to a university like that, and coming from a state school background. I hadn't ever think I'd ever met anyone who'd gone to private school, and then I was sort of surrounded by them. So yeah, it was a bit of a kind of like I'd say a difficult time for me, and also, you know, it's really academically challenging. I know these people. I'm not one of them who managed to do like 3 shows a term and play like 4 sports and graduate with a first. That was not me. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel like so proud that I have got that degree, and I think just on a sort of like academic level, I think some of the skills, the transferable skills I learned at university, have really paid dividends in my career. Just sort of like being able to think laterally and being more analytical, and definitely my love of social science and politics has fed into my decision making as a theatre maker. So I mean, we can come on to that, but definitely when it comes to producing shows, I really find myself leaning into plays that are saying something, and quite often that thing that they are saying is socio-political.
Yeah, of course. I'm sure that'll be a very good lead on to your upcoming show, Elon Musk Lost in Space. But we'll get onto that in just a moment. But what is social science? What is it?
So my degree was sociology, politics, some anthropology, and some psychology. And then as you sort of progress, you kind of like narrow your scope. And I really was super interested in sociology and political philosophy, which is very theoretical, but I find it fascinating. I love sort of thought experiments, and I love sort of exploring other political systems and belief systems, and how society could be informed by that. But yeah, I mean, sociology probably is my main passion within that sort of broader social and political science.
Yeah, nice. I mean, so how does that feed into your work, social science and the theatre? Because, you know, theatre, as we know, it reflects life back at us in so many different ways you can do it. So what is it about? So how has social sciences inspired you and your work in the theatre?
Well, I would only be able to produce something, and to an extent, I'd only be able to perform something that I could really get behind and evangelize about. You know, I think that's important, that you can champion your own work. So if I really was fundamentally opposed to the message of a play, I don't think, I mean, beggars can't be choosers sometimes, but yeah, I don't think I would be certainly as passionate about it. And when it comes to actually really making theatre, and maybe at some point in my career I'll actually be commissioning work, that's what I would be looking for, is a play that is saying something about society and hopefully being a force for good in that respect. I mean, lots of the things that I've produced latterly, and I say, you know, maybe in the last 5 years, have been Arts Council funded. And I think Arts Council funding is that rubber stamp that you are actually doing something beyond theatre making for the sake of theatre making, that it has a sort of social value. So that feels like a really good endorsement of some of the choices I've made. And I like plays that are, sort of like shining a light on something maybe that is underexplored or underrepresented. Examples would be Lear Alone, which was the web series I made during lockdown. I didn't make it on my own, obviously. I have to credit other people. But that was a web series which shone a light on the horrific, I have to say, statistics around homelessness in the over 60s population.
Wow.
So homelessness and the elderly, the intersection of those two things is really quite horrifying. And there's been a massive uptick in those statistics in the last 5 to 10 years. And I was like, nobody talks about that. I mean, and talk about invisibility. If you're homeless and old, you are basically invisible. So we looked at some of the statistics from the National Office of Statistics. We got partnered with Crisis, and then we used the story of King Lear to talk about invisibility and disenfranchisement. And to some extent, I suppose we're talking about the state, aren't we? Why is this happening in one of the most affluent cities in the world? And it was shot on the streets of London. It began with our protagonist, an actor who took to the streets to perform Lear's lines. He escaped from Denville Hall, which is, I'm sure most of your listeners will have heard of Denville Hall, residential home for retired actors. And then we shot it outside the kind of closed gates of the Globe and outside the closed National Theatre, just to talk about that kind of that dislocation and that invisibility. And importantly, we presented that work for free. So it was on YouTube and you could watch it for free. So again, I think it's really important that theatre is accessible to all. And one of the barriers to access is money. So I wherever possible, I really love to, bring theatre to people who maybe couldn't afford to go and see it in a conventional way.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Is it still there now, Lear Alone? Is it still on YouTube?
It certainly is.
Nice.
I can give you a link.
Yeah, no, I'd love one. Yeah, I'll put it down below, guys. If you go check it out, that'd be really, really good.
It's 5-10-minute episodes, so it's really, really digestible.
Oh, nice. Yeah. It reminds me of, did you see Richard Eyre's screen adaptation of King Lear at all with Anthony Hopkins?
For my sins, I did not, but I've heard.
Well, that's on your to watch list from now on. It's absolutely brilliant. And there's a scene later on, I think, where they find who's the character who gets his eyes cut out? Duncan, yeah. There's a scene where I think they find him in, just because they filmed it modern day, and there's a scene where they're just going down this very kind of impoverished street and with people carrying the stuff in trolleys and all that kind of thing. And I just got an image there of of that being the case, and I think that would have fully fed very nicely into that. So I'm not sure if you'd seen it or been inspired by that, but it's a lovely scene actually. You see Anthony Hopkins walking down as King Lear, looking at everyone, the depravity of the streets and everything. But no, I'd never considered that, the homelessness at 60 plus. I mean, this is the first time I've thought that was a serious problem. Obviously, sadly, homelessness can occur at any age, but I didn't realize it was a big problem in 60 plus.
Yeah. I think people just sort of, obviously there's retirement ages and pension ages keep moving, and cost of living crisis and extended family doesn't mean what it used to mean. And there's a multitude of reasons why it's really happening. But yeah, I was really, because we didn't know what to hang the web series on. Originally, we were looking at dementia. And I say that as if, everyone's talking about dementia, but there's a lot of artistic output around that theme. So, and we were looking at partnering maybe with Alzheimer's UK to frame the story around dementia, but then homelessness just seemed like so much more original and important. And Crisis were great. We were really lucky to have them on board. And when we took the show to Edinburgh, we repurposed it into a stage play. Sorry, should have added that.
No.
After COVID ended, thank God, we turned it back into a stage play and took it to Edinburgh. And we did a performance at the Skylight Centre, which is Crisis's HQ in Edinburgh, to their staff, volunteers and clients. And that was very meaningful.
Yeah, I'll bet. It's all these different things, again, how art shows us what's happening in the world and stuff. And like I say, we'll get on to your next work in just a moment, but you mentioned there something about the Arts Council funding. I don't think I've ever asked anyone specifically about the process of that. What's it like going to the Arts Council and getting funding? So how do you do it?
You have to have a lot of time and patience. So another show I produced, which my biog is clearly not up to date, so I need to sort that out. At the start of the year, I produced a show at the Theatre by Diane Samuels called As Long As We Are Breathing, which was also Arts Council funded. So what did I learn? Sorry about the motorbike. What did I learn? I've had 2 successful applications, and I've been part of 2 further successful applications. So I've got a good hit rate at the moment.
Yeah.
Long may it continue. I think the trick, if that's the right word, is reaching new audiences. I think reaching new audiences beyond your regular conventional theatre going audience is pretty key. I think having as many partners, associates, endorsements, supporters, testimonials around your thing is incredibly important. So every time I've had a successful application, I've partnered with a charity. So Good Boy, As Long As We're Breathing, we were partnered with the Forgiveness Project, and The Good Dad, which is the one woman show I do. That wasn't Arts Council funded, but that was in association with victim support. So I've kind of learnt how to partner with other organisations who are not arts organisations. And again, that just means you're doing something beyond making theatre for the sake of it. You know, it's saying something, it's not just entertainment for the sake of it. So I think partnering, reaching out, getting as much support for your project from the off is important. I think you've got to be like granular as well. You have to be really, really boring on an Arts Council application. I don't think they want to hear about the vision or the kind of artistry. Well, a bit, but that's not really what they're about. They want the granular detail about exactly how you're going to not only deliver your project, but how you're going to audit it and how you're going to be able to evaluate its impact. So it's not really an artistic endeavour. It feels more like the worst homework ever. But you've got to go into like micro detail around exactly what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and how you're going to evaluate it, most importantly. It's social impact. It's government money, so it's going to have to show its worth, prove its worth. So good.
Yeah, that sounds like a really long piece of homework. It really does. Yeah. How are you going to audit this? How are you going to make this economically viable? It's a show.
And also sustainable, like environmental impact. Are you spending money needlessly? You know, they really want you to account for that money. Is it going to the right people for the right reasons? And also just paying people properly. I've known people to have applications rejected because they're asking for not enough money, frankly, and they're trying to do things on a shoestring. And I think the Arts Council respect theatre makers who really want to do things right and make sure everyone is paid and properly made. You've got to know your worth. I think you've got to package it up right, and you've got to really think about its social impact. That would be my advice. But it's hard. And there's plenty of great people out there who you can, partner with, like bid writers.
Yeah, it's interesting. This might be a silly question, but because if you've got an Arts Council funded show, can you still have charities attached to it as well? That there's no conflict of economic interest or anything, or can you only have one or the other, or can you have both?
I mean, a charity's never going to give you money. A charity association historically for me has been about their identity on your product. So like their logo is going to be on all of your marketing materials. They might be part of the wraparound activities. So that could be a post-show discussion talking about the wider themes of the piece. Also, they're going to give you some support in kind, because if you're partnered with a charity, we were partnered with Crisis, and they're a colossus. Now, as soon as that goes out on the Crisis social media channels. You're reaching hundreds of thousands of people, so they are worth their weight in gold. But no, I don't think there's a conflict of interest, because I've never sort of been in receipt of funds from a charity because they're trying to do precisely
of course,
which is make money for their charity. But it's about like the reciprocity, and it's about driving the traction in both directions. So yeah, it seems to be a very good bedfellows, I think.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, no, it's true. Like, you wouldn't take money from a charity because that'd just be silly. But it's interesting. You mentioned there there's a few shows recently which I've talked about on here, like Prima Facie, Little Life, and a few others as well, who talk about there's like specific organisations towards, like you mentioned, crisis there, and other ones like assault charities and stuff like that, or like Samaritans or something, like people can attach to that. So it's almost that disclaimer that you see in every show. It's like, if you have been affected by any of these things in the show tonight, then please talk to someone, go to this charity, call this number, and all that stuff. So it's good to have, like, you're not taking money from them, but you're supporting other people who do come to shows. And some people do come to shows and can get triggered by stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, that signposting, again, that's invaluable, having that signposting there in situ. When I did The Good Dad, the one-woman show that I perform, I did not write it. It wasn't Arts Council funded, but we were partnered with Victim Support, and they actually had a presence, like in-person presence, after each show.
Oh, wow.
You could literally walk out of the theatre and up to a little desk and speak to someone who was, because that play was about abuse, sexual abuse. So that was great. They were like incredibly hands-on. And yeah, that would be my other thing with the Arts Council. Those wraparound activities are really important. The more you can do, more added value educationally that you can put in as part of that package, the better. So as long as we are breathing, we had a post-show event every week of the run. It was 5 weeks. And that was really cool.
Nice.
So, as well as watching the play, people were getting something
like back from it.
Yeah, therapeutic. And again, they had that protection if they were in any way affected by the themes of the play.
Yeah, because I knew, is it either earlier this year or last year? I think it was last year. Ray Fiennes made the news saying that people should scrap trigger warnings. So in other words, people go to the theatre and just with a completely open mind and just go, whatever's going to be will be. Obviously, if you're going to see Hamlet or the Scottish play, then you know what you're expecting. But if you go to like a brand new show, like one of yours or one that's still very relatively new, and it touches on a subject which is really, really, which can be very triggering for some people. I mean, personally, I'm in the camp where I would give people just a little heads up, just because, you want people to feel like you go to the theatre and stuff. I remember seeing another show I've talked about a lot on here is a Little Life, which was on a couple of years ago, and it's huge disclaimers. This show contains this, it contains that. Here's a QR code, it'll take you to this website. It's just making, obviously we want to show and how art can make a difference in people's lives, because a lot of people probably came forward and said, this is the first time I've talked about this happened to me when I was a child, or this happened to me a few years ago, and this helped me to talk about this thing, But I don't know. Where did you stand on Rafe's comments? So obviously you probably thought, we should have these warnings to make sure people are okay.
I'm a real fan of the QR code, because a QR code's, you can scan it or not scan it. It's not in your face. Like, you can choose. I mean, there's an assumption there that everyone has a smartphone. There's an access issue there, but that aside, a QR code gives you the choice, and I quite like that. I think at Edinburgh it's incredibly important. Generally speaking, most people who are going to see a show in London will book via a website, and trigger warnings will be on the website. At Edinburgh, however, you get walk-ups. Like, they don't know what on earth they're seeing. They just see a long queue and they join it. So I really think at Edinburgh, it's really important. For The Good Dad especially, I was blue tacking my trigger warnings to the door, because it would be unthinkable that someone could see that show without being forewarned. So I think,
just to let you know.
So Rafe, I've got to say, I think err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
I think err on the side of caution because a bit of a spoiler isn't as bad as being like really triggered.
Mm.
But I think where possible, yeah, QR codes is a win-win.
Yeah. It's like, have you ever had like a reaction to one of your shows that you've either acted in or been a part of, like, and someone's come up to you and gone, this happened to me, you helped me through a process or anything? Like, what's been some of the best reactions that you've got from anything that you've done?
Well, I feel like I now cannot stop talking about The Good Dads, which it seems
Yeah, keep going, man. Keep going.
aggrandizing, but The Good Dad was so triggering, but in a way that I felt was cathartic, speaking to people afterwards. I have never been in a show where so many people wanted to meet me afterwards, and it was not to get my autograph. It was to tell me their lived history, and just like offload. It was really interesting. Up in Edinburgh in 2023, the show was at 9 p.m. So like well into the night, I was often in the courtyard with complete strangers, and they were telling me all sorts of actually awful things, but also thanking me at the same time. I had people leave. Yeah, which was hard, but not because they hated it, just because it was too much. It was a play about based on a real life story about a girl who is abused by her biological father. And very interestingly, the people who were most triggered, like I should have got some stats on this, was men who were dads more than young women. It was sort of middle-aged men. I was like they were, some of them were kind of broken, and it was just like they were saying, this is just so unthinkable. I can't actually process how awful this is. As a father, and maybe a father of daughters, they were very, very upset by it, which is, in inverted commas, a good thing, because theatre should have an effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're being triggered, I think, because they think, who the fuck would do that? And those who have, and thankfully are in prison and will rot in prison for the rest of their lives, you look at them and think, how? Why? And it reminds me of when I was in school. I did A-level drama, and one of the girls, I can't remember her name, we had a monologue exam, and she did this monologue from a play. I can't remember what it was, but basically the message of the play was what you just talked about, and it was her sort of describing it, and in a really kind of really odd way. Plus, we all got the message of what it was all about, and when it was, and this was pre-trigger warning days, pre-QR codes, pre this, that, and the other. So all of us, when it was over, just were like, what the fuck? I remember one friend of mine, Joe, actually turned around and pretended to vomit on the floor. It was like that. It was kind of going, ugh. Obviously it wasn't actually being sick, but obviously that's how it made him feel. But that's the effect it can have, I think. And that was probably theatre pre like those times and stuff. And people probably walked out going, like, they didn't know what to say or what to think, which I think is kind of, it's good that you have that effect on people, but you don't want to cripple people emotionally. You don't want to make them feel,
absolutely not. Absolutely
you don't want them to go over stuff that they, I'll tell you a quick story. Actually, there was a show we saw called A Monster Calls. Did you ever see it at the Old Vic a few years ago?
Yeah, it's about a boy who loses his mother.
Yeah, and he's visited by a yew tree, or the monster, And I remember sort of the subject of the show. I've talked about it on the show. I've interviewed a few people from it. It's basically about his mum's dying of cancer, and he's trying to help her through the last stages of her life, really. And my granddad at the time, who's no longer with us, was going through something very, very similar. And the first time I saw it 3 times. I saw it first by myself, then with my brother, and then it had a week to go in the run. And before that, I said to my mum, look, I really think you should come and see this. It does deal with this topic. I did warn her beforehand. And she was like, at first, she was like, I'm not sure. I don't think I'll go. And then it had a week to go in the run. And I said, look, I think this might help in some ways, might help get something out of your system, might help you in a way, but it does go there with this illness. It does talk about this. And she goes, okay, right, let's go. But by that point, she'd got it in her head that this is what it's all about. I'm going to be facing some triggering stuff today. And she went to see it and absolutely loved it. And she said, look, I would happily go and see it again. But don't get me wrong, at the end she was like, she was like crying her eyes out at the end and stuff. There were good tears and all that. But it shows that that's what theatre can do. That's what theatre can do. It's powerful stuff, which we do, isn't it?
Yeah, and unlike a film, or you're sort of trapped. You're like in your seat. You go in the middle of a row, and you're sitting in silence, and
Yeah,
it is like a held space, and you're like exposed to all this like it's sort of barrage of whatever it is that's coming off the stage. And it's like I love, that's why I would use the word cathartic, because catharsis can be horrible
yeah,
at the time, but it's generally a good thing ultimately to purge something, or like you say with your mum, just kind of like really feel the feels. Maybe that's giving you access to something you couldn't access otherwise.
yeah. And this feeling of like not telling her before the show. It'd be like, oh, by the way, or not tell her anything. And by the end, it's like, hey, guess what? I don't think she probably would have killed me for that. But no, but I'd say it's important to let people know. But anyway, so that was one of your last things. And let's talk about your brand new show, Elon Musk, Lost in Space. I know you haven't started rehearsals yet, but they are sort of coming up and everything, and you're getting prepared for it right now. So it's going to be playing at both the Camden and Edinburgh Fringes in August of this year. Obviously, we can't give anything away because we want people to come and see it. So what can you tell us about this show, Elon Musk, Lost in Space?
Well, it's been in development for a long time, since the end of 2023. We did a sort of R&D in December 23. It is the inaugural production of Perfectly Normal Theatre Limited, which is an offshoot of Perfectly Normal Productions, which is a very long-standing, very established radio production company. So it's myself, David Morley, and Richard Clemo. The three of us have formed Perfectly Normal Theatre Limited, and that the purpose of the company is to kind of like maximize on our sort of wealth of experience in television, film, radio and theatre respectively. So I'm bringing the theatre element to the party. David's written it, and he's written extensively for radio. I mean, decades. Award-winning radio writer and director and producer, but never really pivoted into theatre. So I'm sort of helping him with that. And fortunately for me, there's a part for me in it as well. So Perfectly Normal Theatre are producing it. I'm producing it for them, and I'm also in it. It's a two-hander set on a spaceship in the near future, imagining Elon Musk going to Mars on his own on a solo mission, with only his AI assistant, the ship's computer, effectively for company, and I'm playing the computer.
Nice.
A robot, basically.
Yeah.
So it's really, really fun. Even though it's a two-hander, we have conjurings of other characters videoed in. So you meet along the way. This isn't a spoiler because it's in the press release. You encounter Donald Trump, whether you want to or not. Patrick Moore, Professor Brian Cox, and Arthur C. Clarke. And there's lots of echoes. There's lots of jokes in there. Lots of references for sci-fi fans. To iconic sci-fi television programs and films.
Nice.
Even though it's a two-hander, there's a lot going on, and we're very lucky that an actor called Ben Whitehead is playing Elon Musk, and he's also doing all of the voices because he is a brilliant voice actor. And has recently, not recently, in fact, he's been doing the voice for 20 years, but recently his star has ascended significantly because he voices Wallace in Wallace and Gromit. And of course,
no way.
We had Vengeance Most Foul, which was released, first feature film in a long, long time from Aardman, and has gone on to win BAFTAs and get Academy Award nominations. So I didn't know that was around the corner when I was talking to Ben about this. but it's great. I mean, it's great. It's great for building an audience, because obviously Wallace and Gromit is incredibly popular, and it's going to be very cool for fans to see the person who plays Wallace, who is just like one of the most wholesome, delightful characters.
Yeah. Play Elon Musk.
Culture play the polar opposite.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's a fantastic shapeshifter, and
yeah. So did I get the director's name right? Is it John Nicholson?
John Nicholson, yeah.
Okay, cool. For a moment there, I thought you said it was David Nicholson. I just thought, wait,
David Morley is the writer.
David Morley's the writer. Okay, good. Right, I did get that
David
right.
Morley's the writer.
Good. Sorry, if you're listening, sorry for the confusion. But yeah, no. So obviously, like we said, we can't give too much away and everything. So in sort of a nutshell, we talked earlier about social sciences, how it affects your you tell stories which you like to tell through that lens and stuff. So what can people expect from this show? What topics are you touching on other than Elon Musk going to Mars?
Great question. I love that question. Well, it's certainly not a pro Elon Musk bit of propaganda. I think everyone involved would probably be left of centre.
Yeah. Let's get that bit out now.
I think we need to. Yeah. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, "Why would I see that show? I hate Elon Musk." And I was like, "Well, so do I. I mean, I don't quite get the 2 and 2 equals 5 thing there." So it's not. I wouldn't say it's it's a satire. It's not just a send up, though. It's not just a romp. It is hopefully an expose. It's been very thoroughly researched.
Good.
And David, in terms of what he's trying to say with it, he's trying to understand what made the man, what created this sort of megalomaniac. Yeah. What were the factors that led up to, like a nod to Elon Musk's childhood is in there as well. It's a play about ego, the trappings of ego. I think it's quite Freudian, not to get too deep about it, but the character I play, who is ostensibly at the start of the piece there to serve, over the course of the 65 minutes, you see that sort of pendulum swing of power. I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but she's quite recalcitrant, the robot that I play. And there's lots of Freudian stuff in there. The fact that my robot is female is not incidental. We're sort of exploring some of...
You're like Siri, aren't you?
Like an American Siri.
American Siri.
Or is Siri American? Can't remember now. Alexa's British. But yeah, I mean, Elon Musk, why does he have so many children? And why is he married the same person twice? And and his relationship with his mother is genuinely quite interesting. So that's all in there. So it is exploring maybe why Elon Musk is Elon Musk. How did it happen? And yeah, I think there's also lots of stuff there, which is again socio-political about where is AI taking us? Definitely, there's stuff around the ethical use of AI in the play. What happens when the Frankenstein style, this thing that we're creating? What happens if it overthrows us? And Elon Musk's trapped on a spaceship with a next generation AI that is software updating all the time and becoming more and more powerful as a result. And there's that in there as well, which isn't really nothing to do with Elon Musk. We're just using Elon Musk to talk about those themes. We had a really nice billing in the Edinburgh Evening Post that were very much kind of advertising the show as a play about science and technology and its future. So yeah, it depends what you want from it. It's definitely a very, very funny satirical comedy about Elon Musk as well. And the Donald Trump stuff is hilarious.
Yeah. We talked about how, the social political side of it, the sciences and stuff, more like subject matters. But it seems like this show in particular, I'm sure this is the same on some of your other shows as well, have got a human behavioral lens to it. You're fascinated by human behavior as well. Of course you are. You're a theatre maker. But what is it about Elon Musk's personality, or what we see in the media, what was perceived to be his personality? What is it about it that fascinates you so much?
Just the kind of grandstanding and the kind of artifice. I think one of the really nice things about this play, and one of the reasons why we won't get sued, is
defamation of character.
Nobody knows what Elon Musk is like in private.
That's true.
Therefore, we have total artistic license, creative license to explore that. So there's bits in the play where he is talking. It's almost like a huge Zoom meeting like this, where he's broadcasting to Earth, to his people, to the Earth dwellers about his mission. And then, that is, those calls are ended, and then you see him on his own, effectively. So like when it comes to what he's like when he's on his own, that's interesting. Like when he doesn't have to be the man with the kind of pout and the doing the crazy, like pantomime gestures, and that, oh my God.
Whatever that was.
Whatever that was.
Yeah. To this day, I still don't quite know what that was. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, who knows? There's nothing, honestly, there really isn't anything libelous in there. But, we don't know about his neuro diversity.
Yeah. What goes on up here?
Yeah, we don't know. We sort of explore it, or we ask some questions around that. I think he's been quite open about medicating somewhat, and what that does to your wiring.
Yeah.
Like John Nicholson, I need to big him up. He's the director. He came to watch the R&D we did in 2023. He is Olivier nominated, movement director, and one of the founders of People Like Us, which is a theatre company I've admired since the 90s. And he said right from the start, this should be an expose, not a send up. And I've really clung on to that, that yes, it can be hilariously funny, and yes, it can be just entertaining in places, but without that sense of trying to expose something, trying to unpick something, like what is its function? Because really nobody wants to spend 65 minutes with Elon Musk without a reason. There needs to be a reason beyond just seeing him being a buffoon.
Yeah.
There are definitely themes that go way beyond comedy, and you will notice in the Ed Fringe brochure, we are in the theatre section, not the comedy section. Nice. So it's a play. It's definitely a play.
Oh, good. Yeah, we are serious theatre. But, it's interesting how, because he's got such a high place in the government now, the US government anyway, it's just like he's the one calling the shots at the moment. And so it makes you think, what's someone with all that power, and just don't get me wrong, he's a very, very intelligent man, but with all that power, all that intelligence, and, being very closely linked to the president of the United States at the moment, it's like, what can we deduce? What can we understand about the man without asking him, of course? And all in 65 minutes as well. So it sounds like a really fascinating show as well. I tell you what, the one thing I would like off Elon Musk for 65 minutes would be his bank card. That would be nice.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the challenges, David did an interview the other day about the show as the writer, obviously, and one of the huge challenges is the fact that it has to keep being rewritten. Because last week we were trying to learn it, and then Elon Musk decided to form a political party.
Oh,
I'm like, great.
We've got to get that in as well.
So now we're going to have to add that in. Like 1 minute he's friends with Donald Trump, and then he's not friends with Donald Trump. So we have to keep up with the news. And look, it's only July. So by the 11th of August, when we open in Edinburgh, who knows? Anything could happen.
I mean, you've got about 6 weeks till ish or so till curtain up. So yeah, God, I mean, I don't know. I'm not wishing this on you, by the way, but I wonder how many more rewrites you're going to do over the next 6 weeks. I mean, it's
Plenty, maybe
yeah,
even during the run.
yeah. But then again, that's natural. Those things happen. But yeah, but for you guys, it's like a continuing thing. You know, I think maybe it's like a post-show gift to your audiences. You'd say, here's a link to all of our scripts. You know, feel free
Yeah,
to check out our process and all that stuff. But I think that would be interesting because it will show like your journey as writers and theatre makers as well, but and also how rewrites can go right up till press sometimes as well. You know, it's quite well as it because you're performing in it as well. Is it personally? I would find that quite scary, or the rewrites and stuff, even right up to the last minute. What's it like?
scary.
It's scary. Okay,
I mean, it depends. Like, we're learning it before rehearsals start. So we've had some development days, we've had some workshopping, we've worked with an incredible movement director called Mandy Gordon. The sound is designed, like a lot of the work is done, and the video design is underway. But what we need to do, because we're then into an intensive 2 weeks of rehearsals, is get that script locked down in our minds so that we can start to play. I think if it's then structurally sound, we can then tweak accordingly in certain bits, certainly around Donald Trump. We just need to really, really know it. You kind of need to really learn it to be able to unlearn it and actually relearn bits of it.
Yeah.
It's going to be challenging as well because all of the voices, the Brian Cox, the Trump, the Patrick Moore, etc., they are pre-recorded. So
Okay, that's good.
We're going to be acting with sound cues for a lot.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you actually, you know, but Brian Cox, Professor Brian Cox, the physicist, he's got a very distinctive accent, I have to say, you know, and I do like the guy enormously. If you are listening, I do love your work, mate. But I always find his accent very distinctive because he's Manchester, and you know, there's specific type of it as well. I don't know, just a fleeting thought. But yeah,
I think it's really interesting with voice acting. I'm not a voice. I mean, I've done some. I wouldn't call myself like a voice. Well, I know I am something of a voice actor, but it's not my main
got experience in it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've done impressions and things. But I think I played Nicola Sturgeon, believe it or not, a few years ago at Edinburgh. I mean, wild casting. But I think one of the things with voice acting, which is so fun, is how like certain people kind of are basically Brian Cox and Gary Barlow. When you unpick their voices, when you actually analyze, scrutinize their voices as a voice actor, are actually painfully similar.
They are quite
so
similar.
Like, yeah, it's really, you know, when you hear impressionists being interviewed, quite often they'll say, yeah, you know, like, I know John Coleshaw always says like Michael McIntyre is very close to a Dalek. Like you can basically, if you just dial up Michael McIntyre, you get a perfect Dalek impression, you know, so it's like,
I'm just trying to visualize that now, actually.
It's that sort of, I can't do it. I'm not a pro, but yeah. Certain voices are kind of like the stepping stones to others in voice acting. And in my opinion, Gary Barlow and Brian Cox has sort of separated it.
Yeah, but Michael McIntyre and Dalek. I never heard that before. Yeah, but
there is. I will send you a link to said interview.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I remember there's Robin Williams. He did. Do you remember Parkinson? Yeah, Michael Parkinson. Yeah. I remember he did this thing where he was talking about George W. Bush's dad, and he just simply said this: well, how do you get George W. Bush? You just take John Wayne and tighten his ass, you know, and that's how you get John Wayne. I just doing that one little thing. There's some physical stuff as well, but I can't demonstrate that. But it's interesting.
Fascinating. It's almost a science, I think, voice acting.
Yeah, and there's a brilliant accent coach. There's a big shout out to them. They talk about like places in the mouth where certain accents are. Like Manchester could be like, I don't know this for sure, but like could be like the top of the mouth or like the back of the mouth, or like Cockney's a bit like that, sort of like towards the front and sort of like that. Really direct, you know. But this I need to do another episode with a voice coach at some point. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's the time? So okay, cool. We've got a few more minutes. I know you've got to run off soon, Sarah. I know we're pushed for time, so I just got just 3 more questions left for you. So first of all, like your work is predominantly, like, up to now, been in majority been off West End and stuff, and I'm sure we'll see your work in the West End at some point. I'm sure of it. So life in the off West End, and for anyone who's interested in going into it, what's it like, and what should they know?
Well, I would steer people towards that lovely interview you referenced when we spoke before, the one I gave to London Pub Theatres magazine.
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah, it's a really, I thought long and hard about that. And also it was a written interview rather than a verbal one. So I had time to really sort of consider my thoughts. I mean, thank you for saying that I may break into the West End. I think, I'm not sure how commercial I am in my heart and in my taste. If I could, if I could be both, then cool. But I think one of the things I like about off West End or Fringe is that you're not at a higher, not a higher level, at a commercial level. When I've worked at that level as an actor, people are in their sort of like departments, and they're very, very delineated. They're very sort of, like the costume department, the lighting department, and it's a lot of machinery, and people are sort of like getting on with their work somewhat more independently. Of course, you're going to still have production meetings and all come together at times, but I think at an off West End level, everything is smaller. I mean, everything is more collaborative as a result, and it's more of a kind of all hands on deck approach. And I think as a producer, you end up just being whatever you need to be as the job requires. I mean, so many people, I know we've definitely talked about this before, but so many people say, like, what is a producer? Like, what do you do? And I will always say, it depends on the gig. And I think producing, when it's done well at an off West End level, because that's all I know, is invisible. So like, people only know what a producer does when they do it badly, and then it's very, very obvious what the producer has not done. But if the producer is doing well, keeping everyone to deadline, keeping everyone to task, keeping everyone, happy and communicative, then then the wheels don't fall off, and it looks like nobody did anything. So I think it's about being that point of contact, that port of call, and that can be, as I say, like a pastoral role as much as a kind of like professional one at times. Making, checking in, making sure people are happy, making sure people are communicating, and it massively helps being an actor, because I get it. Like, I really, really get it. Like, I live it. So I think it's easier to be a producer when you've done other aspects of the job. And as a producer at an off West End level, you're doing a bit of everything. I've opted shows, I've mended props, I've gone shopping for costumes, and I've done a lot of marketing, hosted press nights, sold tickets. You learn. You just learn by doing. I know there are courses you can do to become a producer, but I think I just somehow got in through the back door and have learned along the way. So I think it's a very beautiful landscape. I think all these students that I'm teaching, some of whom are just about to graduate, I'm like, it'd be a perfect, first foray into the business is to work at a Fringe theatre, public theatre. You just learn so much about the bigger picture of theatre making.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to mention that interview just very quickly. You were talking about your show Assisted, which you did at the Edinburgh Fringe a few years ago. You said that I'll always be hardwired to think like an actor. What do you mean by that?
I think that would be my point of entry into any project, possibly. I mean, I think, like, if I was going to die on a hill, I mean, I don't really want to die on a hill, but like, if I was forced to die on a hill, that would be the one. I mean, I think that is my hardwiring is acting.
Yeah.
So I think when I approach, even when I read a script, I'm probably thinking of it slightly with my acting hat on. I'm definitely, in terms of duty of care, like hyper aware of actors' needs. I think there's a kind of, I don't know if it's true, but there's a sense like there's a sort of food chain within this industry, and I think actors all too frequently feel like they're right at the bottom of it and that they are not really decision makers. And there's also just a terrible thing whereby actors don't really know their worth, and they think that by kicking up a fuss, again, in inverted commas, they're going to be perceived as like a diva, or they're going to be trouble. And so I don't know, I think that's part of the problem. It's like actors just so hungry for work and so grateful for work that sometimes they don't call out things that they should. So as a producer who's also an actor, I'm like really aware of that. And I don't want anyone thinking that they're going to be like branded a lovey just for saying that they want their own dressing room. Also this thing now, I've got a few more minutes, but like, I think one of the things that's happened recently, definitely in the last 5 years, maybe a bit longer, is like actors are supposed to market shows, and that you're now more likely maybe to be given a job over another person if you have lots of followers on social media, because you're going to market the show for free. And I would always respect an actor who doesn't want to put their head above the parapet. If they just want to come, learn the lines, do the job, be brilliant. If they don't have to put it on their Instagram. They don't even have to have Instagram. And I really, again, it's like putting more on the plate of an actor because it saves money. So I don't really think that's cool.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, I've just got loads of notes from that interview actually, which we spoke about before, but unfortunately, time will prevent me from going through all of it. But I'll put the link down below. So go, anyone who's interested in hearing more about what Sarah's life in off West End is like, go check out that interview from LondonPubTheatre.com. Is be down below. Also, can I put the links to Elon Musk, Lost in Space as well? Yeah, cool. So that's down below, guys. Go get your tickets right now. So just got two quick fire questions left for you, Sarah. I know you've got to shoot off in a minute, but final two questions for every guest. What would you say was a bit of advice that you wish you heard at the beginning of your career?
My advice is play the long game. I would play the long game / don't worry about being a slow burn. You know, I think a lot of people, and maybe it's just a personality type thing, want like things to happen quickly.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's a ladder. I don't think there's any such thing as a career ladder in the arts. I think it's just like a slalom. And if you are, as I say, like really vocationally committed and you work hard and you're nice, I kind of think it will happen. A bit naive, but that's why
true.
I think
it's true.
Play the long game. And like, I know, again, this is going to sound like I'm a really horrible person, but in COVID, a lot of people quit. I think they're probably people who would have quit anyway, but it just accelerated that decision.
Quit acting and like altogether.
Quit the business. And there was a little part of me that thought, great, you know, like, okay, there's less of us. And also, you know, and I'm sure these were people who were probably going to diversify anyway, but COVID just forced that issue and accelerated the decision. The other thing about playing the long game is, like I say, the longer you do it, the fewer people are sticking with it because it's freaking hard. Yeah. And as I said at the very start of this interview, it's not a rational life choice. So just stick with it, keep the faith, be nice.
Simple but nice. Powerful. Yeah.
And if it were a ladder, which I've just said it's not, so I'm mixing my metaphors, but if it were a ladder, I would encourage people to look down the ladder as much as they look up it, because there's always people, you know, you can always be grateful if you remember that you've got it good compared to others. And I think a lot of people compare and despair when they look at the people they want to be or the people who are getting the parts that they think they should be getting. So just try and balance that. Doing it at all is an achievement.
Yeah, just being nice. I can't remember who said it, but someone said if you've done well in anything, it's your obligation to send the elevator back down or something. You know, in other words, just people ask you a question about how to get to where you are, just tell them the truth. and be nice about it, and help them. One little phrase can go a hell of a long way, and it's always the little things in life, isn't it? Always the little things. But yeah, and finally today, for you, Sarah, what would you say has been an experience or experiences you've had in your career up to now that you'll never forget?
Um, oh God, I've got loads of funny little stories. Okay, this is funny, and loads of people have heard it, but I always tell this story. It was
Go
at
for it.
it was at the Finborough Theatre. I just think this was a moment of, like, when you have those moments in life where you just think, oh God, what am I doing? I had but it was a good moment. It was a good moment. It was just a hilarious moment. I was just doing a show at the Finborough in 2024. It was not very long ago, and we had a major issue with a chair, which, when you sat on it, sounded like a whoopee cushion, and it was like opening night and everything. It was like quite a big deal. We had people coming, obviously, because it was opening night.
Yeah.
And it was set. The play was set in a government office, actually set in the Prime Minister's office in Canada, and so it had to be like a sort of like state of the art office set. Anyway, this chair, for whatever reason, decided to malfunction, whereby whenever the actor sat in the chair, it
sounded like a fart.
Yes. And I'm like, I am a very solution focused person, and I was like, well, this obviously can't happen tonight because everyone will find it funny, and it's not that kind of a play. And there's quite a lot of people in the room just going, yeah, well, and I'm like, no, like, what can we do? And like, just asking various people and making some calls, like, it's a wooden chair, it's got a cushion, like, what can we do? We couldn't get hold of various people who may be able to help. We couldn't get a new chair. And I ended up getting, as instructed by our production manager, who was brilliant, running around Earl's Court buying sandpaper and KY jelly. And I'm telling you now, that is how to solve the problem. We sanded down the wood on the inner rim of the wooden chair, and then we lubed the cushion, and the problem was solved. But as I was kneeling on the floor of the Finborough with the sandpaper and the KY jelly, I did think, this is Fringe theatre making at its finest. Like, literally on the floor doing something utterly absurd. But the show must go on, and I think this is why I say you do learn things at an off West End level that you wouldn't learn at a commercial level, because you just have all these strange curveballs thrown at you, and you're always doing things on a shoestring. So you just have to make it work. And that was, for me, my finest hour in terms of like sorting something out.
Yeah. If you want to know what life in off West End is, guys, it's putting lube on a chair.
Yeah.
And sandpaper, so it doesn't sound like a fart.
I mean, it's a great trick of the trade. I mean,
yeah.
In case you ever find yourself in that.
Yeah. That's a cool definition for it. Lube on a chair, sandpaper on the floor, and make sure you don't fart. Just to cover a fart. Ting sound. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a great show. It was a great show. So I can now do one more plug.
Yeah.
So that show was at the Finborough, and it was a Proud Haddock production, directed by Jimmy Walters, and he and I are taking an Athol Fugard show to the park in January 2026.
Nice.
That'll be my next producing venture after Elon Musk, will be the park. So that's really cool, and it's not a pub theatre, so
yes.
Yeah, a bit more infrastructure.
I love the park as well. I've seen a few things there. It's a lovely, lovely theatre. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like another version of the Donmar, isn't it? It's very, very intimate. Everyone can see everything. Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah. May I politely ask that I'd love to see it. So press night and get me a ticket. Is that cool?
Of course.
Cool.
I'd love to meet you in real life.
Exactly. Cool. We've got that on camera now, so
yeah,
no excuse.
And obviously, please come to Camden. Come to our previews.
Oh yeah, no, of course. I look forward to it. Yeah, I look forward to going to Elon Musk Lost in Space, and I implore everyone watching and listening to this to do the same to that. And if they do miss that, then come in January and come see your stuff and check out the stuff down below as well, which is, what was it called? So sorry, Lear Alone as well, which we'll put a link to down below as well, if that's cool as well.
Of course.
Brilliant. Cool. Send me all those over. Get them down below. Anyway, Sarah, this has been so much fun. I know you've got to shoot off now. You've got to get to rehearsal. So, first of all, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for sharing all your experiences and everything. It's just been absolutely great. So, if you just hang on, I'll finish the recording and then I'll say goodbye to you one-to-one. But guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been the Uncensored Critic podcast, and I'll be back very, very soon. And yeah, Sarah, Lawrie, thank you so much.
Thank you.